no power, no heat, sub-zero temperatures, and no running water. These are all the things you can do to survive the next storm. Hey, my name is Timogen. I'm an Army veteran, trained in cold weather combat, and a finalist on History Channel's Alone Season 9. And once upon a time, I was homeless for a year living out of my Honda Odyssey through sub-zero temperatures and polar vortexes without any heats, and my window cracked. I'm also a full-time ER doctor, and I have to drive 2 hours to location. So when I'm there, I stay in my truck. And with this next snowstorm coming, anticipated multiple feet of snow and bone-chilling cold, I'm gonna share exactly what I carry in my truck, my sleep setup, and little tips and tricks not only to keep you warm, but to keep you functional. Because every morning at 6 a.m., I'm still clocking in and saving lives. The snowstorm is literally hitting right now, so let's go over our sleep systems so you can have an idea of why I chose what I have. I have a synthetic sleeping bag rated to -30 and a down sleeping bag rated to -40. Now, the things that you want to be looking for are mummy bags because there's less room to heat up on the inside, making it easier to warm up on the inside. And you also want to be looking at the cuffs around your zippers and neck. This one has a little bit of a baffle around the neck to keep it really tight, and a nice hoodie that cinches up so you only see your face. Now, the baffles on this one, you can see that these have these little paddings on the inside of the zipper, so the cold air has a stop point and can't go directly inside easily. Versus this synthetic one, it is warm, but you get a lot of heat loss through this big old opening. You can cinch it down as much as you can, but that space is a lot bigger than my down sleeping bag. So what I'm gonna do, I've been sleeping in this one for the majority of the winter, but since it's gonna be really cold, this actually fluffs up a lot more. I just took it out of the sleeping bag carrier, so it's a little deflated, but once it fluffs up, it's actually gonna be taller than this one. So you want loft. The more space you have, the better. So I'm gonna shake this off, put this inside my car to let it dry out a little bit. So something that's well worth the price to prevent evaporation. So one added layer that can increase the temperature of your sleeping system, whether that's a folded duvet blanket that you can use as a sleeping bag, is you can wrap it with your rain jackets by just tying it around or placing it on top of your sleeping system. That will prevent a lot of the heat loss from vapor and protect from any wind. Convection draws heat away from whatever the source is by flow, whether that's water flow or airflow. So this layer does the job really well. Let's get into the truck to show you how we're insulating from the ground. Because in most winter situations, I recommend at least 3 inches of compressed insulation from the ground so you don't feel it, especially if you're a side sleeper. And typically I either have an inflatable pad, but over here I have memory foam one. So we got our insulated pad over here. That right here is about 4 inches of insulation. We have an insulated roof, but I'll show you exactly how you can add an additional layer because this is quite lofted. This may be like 3 feet tall. So to prevent heat exchange from my body contact and any cold surfaces around me, I have insulation from the bottom with my sleep pad, and I have insulation around me with the sleeping bag plus the bivy bag, which limits the amount of airflow that could take heat away from my body. Now, the tent does a good job at sheltering from the wind, i.e. convection, but the one thing that you have to be absolutely mindful for is evaporation. Limit the amount of wetness, especially unanticipated sweat. All right, so I'm gonna get into the sleeping bag, zip it up. And when I cinch it up, it gets even smaller, the opening. So you can see that there's just a tiny space for me to breathe. And what I do is I bring this over my eyes, so the top just over the tip of my nose, so my nose doesn't get cold. And then I bring the balaclava up like this, with the mesh part over my mouth, and then I sleep like that. One thing that you should be mindful of is sleeping with your clothes. So that can be okay if your sleeping bag isn't graded for the temperature and it's really, really cold. You can start with your clothes. But with this sleeping bag that's rated to -40 plus a bivy bag, if I do bring in my clothes, what I would normally do is I would start in my clothes, slowly take it off throughout the night before I fall asleep. So I'm moving around, taking off my pants, taking off my base layer sometimes, taking off my socks, taking off my mid layer, that fleece mid layer. Because what typically happens if you fall asleep with all your clothes in a sleeping bag that's rated for that temperature is you're bound to have a little bit of sweat. And especially if you are living in this climate or in your house and the power's out for more than a week, you don't want all your equipment to be wet. And you also want to make sure that you're breathing outside of your sleeping bag. In very cold climates, especially at altitude, you can respire, so breathe out a lot of moisture. Let's say on Everest, you can be breathing out more than a liter of water. So imagine dumping a liter of water into your sleeping bag every single night. And with those long nights where sun downs like at 4 and sun rises at like 5 or 6, that's a lot of time for you to develop a lot of moisture inside your sleeping system. So the one hack that I do have for you, so 2 things that I always bring with me for extreme cold weather sleeping is number 1, a wool or synthetic shamag or scarf. So this one's basically the size of my body. It acts as almost like a bed sheet inside my sleeping system. So when I'm taking off my sweater, I can either sleep on top of it for an added layer of insulation, or I can drape it on myself as a little bit of a blanket. But if I'm on my base layer or naked in the sleeping bag, I have this on top of me because if I have any inkling that I'm getting a little damp from sweat, I wipe it down immediately. And this can be something that you also put up inside your sleep system. And when you are thinking about evaporation is super vital for cold weather camping, because the moment you sweat or your stuff gets wet, you get cold really fast, and it's sometimes really hard to dry it out if you don't have a fireplace going or a heat system going. Because in this camper, I don't have a heat system yet, hopefully in the coming weeks, but I don't have it yet. And I've been doing this for almost 3 years in my truck. Wipe down with this wool layer or synthetic layer. And when you're done sleeping, you can hang it up somewhere to dry. Or if it's frigid outside, very cold and dry temperatures, you can leave it to freeze outside, shake it, and all the little damp particles get removed from the fibers. It's also how you refresh wool as well. If you are inside your home, you want to be finding the smallest room that you can have. So this little enclosure, this little rooftop tent is the size of maybe like a single bed. So think about a space that might be that size. It might be a walk-in closet, it might be a bathroom, and you can definitely, if you have a room that has windows, insulating the windows. So once you choose that small enclosure, whether like a walk-in closet, you're insulating yourself with, you're sleeping on couch pillows to insulate yourself from the ground. The one thing that you can do to make a secondary air pocket is to have bed sheets, or in my case, shamags like this, and you can drape it around yourself. So I can drape this by hanging it and clipping it just on the ceiling so that I have another air pocket around myself. This is the same concept for our military tents that have an inner cotton liner. It's meant to add an additional air pocket, a smaller space that you can heat with just your body heat. And in addition to that, it will trap a lot of the moisture and condensation so that the only thing that you need to care about in the morning time is not a wet roof or drops on the side. It's just like a bed sheet or a shamag like this. So sometimes I pin it because this is a material over here. And all you need is little safety pins, and you can pin whatever you want to drape down in front of you. So it's like cutting off half the space, and it'll just drape down like a layer so that the space where I'm breathing isn't necessarily getting everything wet, and that adds a smaller space to warm up. So to give you some perspective, my legs right now are so warm that I probably would have to layer down if I was going to sleep. So I would take off my pants. But before I do that, let's talk about radiation. So you can see over here that there is this shiny reflective layer that is below my insulating layer. This is a mylar material, like a space blanket, but it is a material that's a little more robust. So it's not as easy to rip. And it is one of my preference because it is quite light. I believe this is from Seoul. I'll put the link in the bio. And it's a little more durable. So I've had this one for over 5 years now, and I'm still using it. And if I put my hand right there, I can feel the heat radiating back to me. So that's one way to trap and use some of your own radiation for your sleeping system. If it was incredibly cold, so think about like -50, -60, I could have my secondary mylar blanket pinned to the top of the roof. So that's definitely an option, as simple as safety pins, and doing it at home in your bathroom or doing it in your walk-in closet or a small closet is just as simple. Whatever you have to do, whether it's small little nails, clothespins on the rack, you can make a little tent setup in there and have a very small space that you can heat adequately with just your body heat. But when your body heat isn't enough, this is something else you can do too. So if it was extremely cold and I was trying to make a tent inside my tent, this is what I would use. I would keep the wool shamag inside my sleeping bag, and then I would pin this to the ceiling to add a second layer of air pockets and insulation. And this material is synthetic. So this is what we use in the military. It's called a whoopee blanket, and it's a sleeping bag. So you can use it as a sleeping bag or as a sheet. And when it's a sheet, you can see that it is kind of the whole length of my arm stretch. So you can see that it's fairly long. It's as tall as me in both ways, and it can definitely fit on the roof. And it has these little ties over here at the corners where I can just easily tie it to the corners to make that secondary layer. So this is very useful as my emergency shelter within a shelter that adds an additional layer of insulation. And really at home, you can be using your duvet covers, because when I was living in the Honda Odyssey, it's like a really big van. I fit my double bed inside the back because it fit perfectly. So we had insulation from the ground, and all I did was I ran some lines of paracord just where the holders were, and that allowed me to pitch up a tent inside of that using a duvet cover. And then I slept in my sleeping bag and a duvet cover on top of that, and we would reach -40, -30 at times with snowstorms. I had my window cracked and I was toasty inside, never needing an additional heat source. And that's important right now, because if you are from a southern state and the electricity is out for several days and you don't have heating, you need to know how to stay warm when you don't have a heat source. And since your body is that main heat source, you have to give it enough fuel. I do have a cooler over here, and this insulated cooler, sometimes I keep batteries in here, but what I keep more oftentimes than not, especially in the winter, is my insulated canteen. Whether I am boiling this myself, I do have some electricity capabilities over here. I have a lithium ion battery, solar panels, so I can boil water inside one of these guys. And once that's boiled, I have high calorie options inside this guy over here. Let me show you what I got. I like chocolate, so I got some protein powder over here that if you want to add calories, you can add some chocolate milk to that. That'll add a ton of calories in there. I have some tea bags for some flavor if I want a hot drink, and I have some electrolytes with sugar in there too. So calories are super, super important in cold environments. And if it's long term, think about like multiple weeks out there. One of the calories that's even more important is fats. Think about like having spoonfuls of ghee, olive oil, coconut oil, butter with your regular meals, just to keep your calorie intake up. So the reason why you want high calories is your body needs those calories to shiver. And without that shiver response, it is harder to keep yourself warm throughout the night. And without enough hydration, there's limited blood to flow to the parts that are cold. So less cold blood is returning to the heart, and less warm blood is going to that cold fingers or toes, ears, nose, and genitalia. Those are the areas that get coldest the fastest because they're so close to the surface. But the one benefit of just using boiled water instead of a large heater is if you have that insulated cocoon in this small shelter in a corner of your house, all you really need is a single walled bottle. So I have a Canteen titanium bottle. You can get this in stainless steel as well. I believe there's some options in tin. You can literally go to the thrift store, get a stainless steel one. And what you would do is you can boil water, whether that's with a small candle or a heater if you have like a propane cooker. And this guy over here will keep your water warm for several hours. And if you're really cold, you can definitely drink some warm fluids that are high calories, like high calories electrolytes, my protein powder. And just before bed, I would fill this up at the hospital, get a bunch of warm water, cap on, make sure it's closed tight. And you don't want to do this with Nalgene bottles because they're notorious to explode and get yourself burnt on the inside of your sleeping bag, but also wet everything. So with this, whether it's a round bottle or this one's more flat, you can hear the expanding from the cold. You can put this right on your chest inside the sleeping bag, or if you have really cold toesies, you can put it in your in a spare sock, or if you can put it in a spare beanie and put it at the bottom of your sleeping bag, and that will keep you warm. And you only have to change it a few times throughout the night, but I would time that. So I mainly use this for water and tea and rewarming on the chest, and I use the Canteen cup that it comes with for my high calorie warm drinks. Another thing that you should be doing is going to the bathroom. In the cold, your thirst response is decreased, so you don't get thirsty, but you pee more. We call that cold diuresis. So it's kind of like when you drink coffee, you pee more. Same thing happens when you get cold. But the instinct is to hold in your pee at night. Your body is working extra, it's burning more calories to keep that pee warm, and the same things for poops. So time it when you're getting that warm bottle refresh or midnight snack so you can relieve yourself and save your calories for keeping yourself warm throughout the rest of the night. Large secure bottles can work really well, and you can even use this as a hand warmer later. And for women, there are Shiwis to do the same thing. And for emergency bathroom adventures throughout the night, I have this bucket and toilet seat. So it just clicks off like that. And I got some sawdust and wood chips over there. So that's for emergencies. If you want to learn more ways to save your life, comment lessons and give us a follow. I'll be going over the emergency items inside the truck next.